So, Scream 7 has been released in the theaters, and I was really excited for this. I love the Scream franchise, and I really wanted to watch Scream 7. Even with all of the turmoil and behind the scenes stuff that we got before Scream 7 was ultimately made, I was still optimistic and excited for this one. And I just rewatched the first six. I watch them every time a new one comes out, and I was excited for this one. Uh, I'm gonna basically say my spoiler-free thoughts first, and I'm gonna say that I thought this was good, air quotes. But I watched it twice. I saw it on Thursday night, and then I saw it again last night, Friday night. And the first time on Thursday, I was pretty let down by the ending, and watching it again last night, I felt a little less annoyed about it. But I'll say that whenever I get into spoilers. The reason why, because this has come out for a few days and everybody's probably seen it now because it's making like a lot of money at the box office, as expected, because Nev Campbell's back. But with the behind the scenes stuff of this, like it was originally going to be another Sam Terra story, and of course with all the behind the scenes stuff that happened, that was not what happened. That's not what was made. It's just a Nev Campbell movie now, which I love Nev Campbell as Sydney in these movies, but I wish that, regardless of what I felt about this one, I wish that we got another third movie. Even though I've seen interviews with Melissa Barrera saying that she's fine doing the two, and I felt like six ended on a note that did feel pretty complete with Sam and Tara's characters and how they survived another set of killers, and they are going to go get therapy. They're going to bond with each other, and now they've grown. So I do appreciate that Sam and Tara could just be off somewhere in random wherever. And I thought before this movie came out, Scream 7, I thought they were going to imply that Sam and Tara were witness protection. I thought I heard rumors circulating online that that's what the explanation would be for this movie, because they're not in this movie, of course. But there's no explanation. They are not mentioned except briefly and slyly by Mindy once in the movie. Sam is mentioned once by name. So it was interesting to see that even though I could have done another one with Sam and Tara, I guess I'm glad that we got what we got. It's just kind of a bummer. It's like Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, I wanted another one of those in 2014, whenever that came out. But of course we didn't get one of those. But we got Spider-Man No Way Home. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. But, so, regardless of the behind-the-scenes stuff, with Scream 7, I was a little disappointed. But like I said, I liked it the second time way more. So that's my initial thoughts. Like, I thought that it was good with the gore, with the characters, but the third act kind of, like, derailed me. But looking at that, those are my spoiler-free thoughts. Like, that's the pretty much the gist of how I felt without any spoilers. So, starting out, I'm going to say with spoilers that this is probably my least favorite overall. I know people say Scream 3 is like one of the worst, but man, Scream 3 has grown on me a lot over the years, and I really like it. And I really like Roman as a character. I think that he's interesting, and even though he's randomly introduced in 3 as a secret long-lost brother, I thought that the performance was really good by Scott Foley. And like I said, 3 has its moments, even though it's not as great as the first two, and that's what people usually consider the worst. I'm going to consider this one the worst, quotes, air quotes, even though I did like this one. Even after second viewing, I liked it a little more. This is probably the worst, quote unquote, because of the ending. But let's start at the beginning, though. So the beginning of the movie, we've got an opening Airbnb at the Mocker House, which I thought it's a good moment, but it was kind of quick for an opening kill. It's got Michelle Randolph, who's in Landman, which I've been watching recently. Totally plays a different character than that. And Jimmy Tatro, who was a YouTuber, and then he's been an actor for a while now. But they're the opening kills, and they go around the Mocker House and look around, and it's like a relic of all the stuff that happened in 1996 and 2022 with Billy and Stu and Richie and Amber. and shows their bodies even like imprinted on the ground, like the body tape on the ground, and it even shows references like, oh, Liv McKenzie was shot in the head right here by Amber, blah blah blah, like those kind of references. Um, but it was a pretty quick opening. Like I think it's good, but I don't know if I'll remember it out of like if in terms of all the other films, this might be my least favorite opening kill. Because it is really quick. Even though I do like the actors and I do like that the Mocker house is burned down, I think that's cool. But in terms of like the trajectory of the rest of the movie, it really feels like it's kind of separate. Even though it's the initiation of the new killers to do this. Um, so I liked it, but I feel like I'm going to put it on the lower pole of opening kills. Scream Six's kill was way better. I thought that was really more clever. This was just more of a fun one for the opening of this one. So the opening's solid. It's good, and I like the actors, but I think that it's just one of my lesser favorites at the moment, and maybe that might improve as it goes along. Again, with Scream 3, maybe it's tied with Cotton Weary getting killed, which is fine, but it's not like anything super special. Like Scream 1, Drew Barrymore, excellent. Scream 2 with Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps is really funny. Scream 4 does the movie within a movie thing, so I think that's clever. And Scream 5 has Tara not getting killed. She survives. And Scream 6 has that great kill with other killers being killed by the real killer. So I think that they all have different creative openings for those other ones. So that's why the one for Scream 3 and Scream 7, I feel like are the lower openings for me in terms of like entertainment. Like I said, this is good. It's a good opening, but it's just not my favorite, I guess, if I had to choose. But that's hard to choose between a franchise I really enjoy. So it starts out after the opening with Tatum, Sydney's daughter, who is kind of doing the same thing Sydney did at the beginning of the first one, where she has a boy come over, Ben, who looks like Billy Loomis 2.0, and even Chad references Gen Z Billy Loomis as that character in the movie. But it starts out showing a good job with Sydney and her daughter, and showing that the daughter is really not knowing anything about Sydney's past. And whenever a killer encounters, that means that they're going to have to encounter this killer. Sorry, my cat is distracting me. Why are you distracting me? Look at the camera. But so it opens with it has a good opening. I think that the characters are interesting. The daughter's fine. I don't know much about this actress. She did a good job though. I hear she's in I think it's 1883, which is a show I have not seen. But Neve Campbell is really good in this. I think that she really like there's not been any time lost between the character and the emotional arc that she's going through in the first movie to this. Even though she was gone in 6, I like that the character is just really interesting still, regardless of everything that has happened. I think that she just has the emotional pull, and Neve Campbell is just such a good actress. And the movie kind of sets it in motion where Sydney's just in a small town, hidden from everybody. She's got people around her that she knows that are new to the movie. They mention New York a lot, and with Sydney going through this deal, the daughter's kind of wanting to know more about it, about her past, even though the Stab movies did show that her past and show everything that she did in real life, and it's just replicated into a movie based on the book by Gale Weathers. So it's pretty basic, even though I like the mother-daughter stuff. And it gets thrilling in a way where I like that these characters encounter Ghostface in their house, which is a house that's locked and safeguarded everywhere, because it's Sidney Prescott, of course, or Sidney Evans now. And also Joe McHale, her husband, is great too. I think he's good in this. I always like him and stuff too. But they encounter Ghostface, go outside, and Ghostface gets ran over right away, and you're like, what? Like, I've never expected to see that in this movie. Because it's just a twist we haven't seen yet. Oh shit, this guy got killed right away, and by Gale Weathers, by no other person. Gale Weathers, of course, pops in and drives over him and kills him. That's great. Great to see Courtney Cox's arrival into the movie. It's awesome. And Minnie and Chad as well, joining her. And And then you get the killer reveal for that first guy named Carl, who's random and has no connection to Sydney, but he was at the coffee shop earlier. And Sydney noticed him. But then it becomes a story where they go to this Fallbrook Institute, Sydney and Gale, and there's a guy there that's telling about this story about Stu Macher might be alive because earlier Sydney found a video of Stu Macher talking to her in current day. And you're like, what the hell? Stu Macher's dead. And there's always been that talk throughout the Scream franchise, like, oh, Stu Macher might not be alive. He might actually be alive and not be dead. And he might have hidden away from whatever for 30 years, which didn't make much logical sense. And Kevin Williamson himself, the writer and director of this movie, has said in the past that Stu is dead. So, looking at the idea of the movie, you know deep down that Stu Macher's dead. You just know it. He's not going to be alive. And with the way that this goes with the AI stuff with Stu Macher, I really liked, and I thought Matthew Lillard was hilarious, and I thought he was really funny. He literally phoned in the conversation, which is funny because he's just on a phone every time. And I like the AI stuff because I think it's cool that you can use that to scare Sydney and use it as a new different foil for her. And I think it's cool. And even seeing later in the movie with Roman, Mrs. Loomis, which was a surprise. Nobody knew about that. But you knew about Dewey and Roman. Dewey and Roman seeing them again was cool. But it becomes kind of this, just kind of a basic thriller in a way. Like, it's still interesting, but it's got some good kills in it. Like, there's a kill where McKenna Grace is hanging up, like, a fairy on this play where, like, she's on a rig, and the Ghostface killer gets behind her and guts her out. And I thought that was really cool. And I liked the violence in the movie. Like, I didn't expect it to be as gory as it was, because I think Neve Campbell was talking about how the last two movies were too gory in her eyes, and she's like a producer, so I was expecting the movie to be less. But then I think I saw an interview where she said, no, we got to do more gore because it's what people want. And there's some good gory moments with that. There's a scene with, like I said, with McKenna Grace getting gutted, and there's a scene where, I forgot what the dude's name is, but he's the daughter of Jessica, the neighbor. He gets his head pushed through one of those beer kegs, and the pole goes through his head, and he, like, has his mouth open, and he keeps, beer just flies out like the knob is on, and that was really funny. That was really clever. And I thought that just the idea of these characters, even though these characters are pretty, like, not in the movie as much as I expected, all the characters that are the friends of Tatum, like, they're in it and they're fine, but they're really not the point of the movie. They get killed off way quicker than I expected. There's some moments of conversation with them, but I feel like there's less of them than other Scream movies, because you got to focus on Sydney plus the daughter plus all the friends' daughters, plus all the daughter's friends, plus Mindy and Chad, plus Gale, plus this mystery that they're figuring out with Stu. So there was a lot going for this movie in terms of the story, and it's 2 hours long, like every Scream movie, but it somewhat felt like the characters were not as fleshed out, the new ones. They were there really to get killed. Which is something that Scream usually does a better job at for the most part. But like I said, there's other movies like Scream 4 where they did that. That character Trevor in Scream 4 was barely in it. He had like 2 scenes, you know? And that's kind of like how I felt with these characters, because they were really cannon fodder, really quick. And as it gets to the end of the movie, when it gets to the third act with these characters, the thing about the reveal, and this is what made me so mad, is that, like, my initial reaction was just, like, shock. I was like, what? Like, so most of the Scream movies are about, the reveal is somebody connected to Sydney. Family, you know? Or with Sam Carpenter, it was Richie or Richie's family. Like, it's always a connection to a spouse or family in these movies. And it's weird because I like when movies go against the grain, but I was initially turned off on first watch that it was the neighbor Jessica and the orderly guy, not orderly, but the guy at the institution, whatever the word is, the guy in charge of the institution. They were both the killers. And the performance of Jessica was really good. I forgot what her name, I don't know what her name is, but this actress is really awesome. I don't know if I've seen her anything else, but she was great as over the top in the performance as one of the killers. But the idea that she was just the next door neighbor who told Sydney, like, I read your book, Out of Darkness, and I killed my abusive husband because I wanted to get out of that. But now she suddenly said that she wants Tatum to be the new Sydney 2.0 and kill Sydney, so then Tatum will have the same trauma that Sydney had, and Sydney's out of her prime. I thought that how that killer reveal was worded, I felt like I didn't fully understand the logic on why she was doing all this. And the other guy, the other killer, was there to do the AI stuff with Stu and Billy and Roman and Mrs. Loomis, whatever. But I liked her performance, but her character motivation to me was the reason why I got turned off and kind of soured on the first watch. And even with the second watch, I still don't fully get why she went this crazy. She was just crazy. And she wasn't related to Sydney, and it felt like it... I should applaud it, but I should also just question it, because usually it's not that case. Like I said, Scream 1, Sydney's boyfriend. Scream 2, Billy's mother. Scream 3, her long-lost brother. Scream 4, her cousin. Scream 5, Sam's boyfriend. Scream 6, Richie's parent or family. So it's always usually connected to somebody in the main idea. And I guess the connection is that Jessica is Sydney's neighbor. But that doesn't really feel like... Like, I guess I should appreciate it because it's so random. It's like, oh, this neighbor who went nuts is just doing this to keep Sydney... Like, try to keep her trauma alive. Which is interesting, but it just was worded weird in the killer's explanation of why she was doing this. And it was just... Even though the performance was great, it just was kind of hard to completely figure it out. So... Yes, I hear you. Yep. So it was just hard to understand with the idea of what this revelation was and why she was doing all this stuff. And with all the other Scream movies, I get the point of why they would be doing this, even though it's wrong, you know. I get the idea why they're doing this stuff. It was hard with this one. But I did love the ending because I did love parts of the ending where Jessica is shot like 20-30 times by like Sydney and her daughter, and her face became like minced meat. That was really funny. I thought that was good gore moments. I thought that was cool that Joe McHale survived, even though he'd been in there a couple hours, like stabbed a lot, but he survived. I guess that's good. He's a character you can continue on. And I liked that in the end, Sydney said to Tatum, her daughter, like, I named you after my friend who was smart, resilient, resourceful, and a great person, and I wanted you to have that power. That was my wish, that you became a strong person. I thought that emotional arc is really good, and Neve Campbell is excellent in this movie, like usual. But it's just the killer motivation was the questionable part for me. I did like the AI stuff. I thought that was cool. Because it wasn't Stu, but like really he was dead, and the killer even said like, Stu's dead, why would you believe he's alive, you know? So I liked that stuff. I liked those elements, but the only thing, like I said, is the killer reveal was just more questionable, and just how it was executed. I just didn't fully understand. Yes, did you not understand either? Did you not understand either? So I didn't get it. I didn't get why it was being done. Like, I kind of get it, but kind of don't. It just was weird. And with Kevin Williamson writing and directing the movie, I like his other stuff, but I just was questioning that part in the moment. Both watches, 2 watches, I was questioning it. So, yeah, I really don't know. Like I said, watching it a second time, it really did solidify that I liked it. I just felt less soured on second viewing on just why this was happening, why this movie existed in terms of like the killer motivation. But I just need to kind of look at it another way, I guess, and just think, well, it's just kind of random, and that might be better than just another family member lost, you know, I guess. Because they've done it 6 times. I guess it is a different, unique thing. But this movie's getting trashed. The critic reviews were negative, and more negative than any Scream movie, even Scream 3, which is genuinely surprising. So I was kind of dreading that. I would have liked another Sam and Tara story, but this is what we got, and this has some good moments in it, and I think it's probably my least favorite, but that's like picking out your children. Like, you love them all, but it's hard to really choose one when they're all great. And this one is still really good. It just doesn't reach the same factors or the same level as the other ones for me in this moment. And typically when I watch a Scream movie, I immediately have a reaction where I know I put it in the ranking. This one I definitely do, but more of a negative light. I feel like it's the lowest. Because I'd rank them probably this one, then Scream 3 would be second to last, then Scream 4, then Scream 5, then Scream 6, then Scream 1, and then Scream 2 being the number one movie that I'd rank. So, I love the franchise regardless of that. Regardless of the quirks I had in this movie, I still think that it's entertaining and fun. So I still liked it, but I just had some questionable things about it. Like I said, I am excited for the franchise to continue, even though I was slightly bummed on this one, but I think over time that wound will heal, like a lot of people say with other movies, like Scream 3. People say that. So, yeah, overall, I think it's a fun time. Still a fun time, no matter what. So, thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll talk to you later.